Hello, my awesome team of staff backups. I sent an email about 2 weeks ago about the new iPad initiative that's going to be rolled out. I wanted to go into more detail with that as they've been working through it, and I think we're in a place where it's now going to be used hopefully on almost all patients. We're going to look for some pretty good compliance, 80% at least, and that could absolutely result, and we hope it will, in an increase in referrals. What we need from you all is any feedback that you have on how from your position you observe this to be going, and just know that this is a new initiative. We still have a lot to iron out, so please let me know if you have any questions, any concerns, any feedback at all. But just wanted to run through the process, and then I'll include a lot of information in the email below, just so that you can have it, you can print it out. I would strongly encourage you to do so, just so you can access it pretty easily. So the reasoning for this, just as a reminder, is that in the pediatric emergency department, we've had difficulty having a good compliance with screening teens, and it's because of the space in which the screening was being completed. It was not private. Parents were almost always accompanying teens, and so a verbal screen was very difficult. Additionally, we have had no formal process for screening parents when they bring their children to the emergency department. And what we know about domestic violence victims is they don't always call police, and they may not always go to the shelter and utilize these different resources, but they will always bring their children to the hospital when sick or when concerned, and oftentimes want to be asked these questions related to domestic violence as a chance to disclose. And so this is a very exciting opportunity, and we really hope that you're on board with us. So the way that it will go is when a patient is in our emergency department, in our pediatric emergency department, children ages 12 to 17 will be provided an iPad to ask a number of injury prevention questions, including teen dating violence. And those questions I will list below. If they screen positive, we will automatically get a page that will say positive IPV. Eventually, we hope that there will be a room number and a name, but they've had some difficulty sorting out paging stuff, and so right now it will just say positive IPV. For children 12 and under, the parents will be expected to answer the questions about domestic violence. However, ages 8 through 12, the parents and children will kind of be answering the survey together, so there can be an opportunity for some talk between the two of them. But most of the time, if there's a patient who is under 12, the positive screen is going to be for a parent and not the patient, and the questions are only for the parents. And so again, those questions I will list below, and if a parent screens positive for intimate partner violence, your pager will say positive PAR, so short for parent. Again, at some point, we hope it'll be the child patient's name, so we know what room number we're headed to. But right now, it will always say either positive IPV or positive parent. At that point, you guys will wait a little bit, just because us getting the page means the survey was just completed, so it's not even in the hands of anyone in the pediatric emergency department yet. So what you'll do is you'll wait a bit. I personally plan on setting a alarm for 15 minutes so I can go back to sleep for a little bit and then wake up. But if you worry about waking up for that alarm, feel free to go ahead and just wait around a bit, and then you'll call the charge nurse in the pediatric emergency department. And this will be for a few reasons. The first is to make sure that it wasn't an error. The first page that we actually got was for an 8-year-old who was answering the questions directed to the parent, and so it was an absolute false positive, we think. And so there will be false positives. We have to test the sensitivity of these questions, test the wording. And so because of that, we want to call and make sure there's an opportunity for them to kind of double check. And so we're hoping the charge nurse will be a good contact for that. They may pass you along to the resident who's working with the patient. But the first thing we'll do is just try to figure out a little bit more, maybe about what question was answered positive, what the situation is, and just make sure that it is a true positive screen. We'll get a little bit more information, and then we will kind of triage it. And really my only perspective on this is just to remind you all that this is a really exciting initiative. And as domestic violence advocates, we're always looking for opportunities to reach a section of the population that we have never reached before. And I think this is a huge one. And so we absolutely trust you all to use discretion in deciding, okay, when is this parent gonna be maybe with this patient in the hospital for a number of days, and there will be an opportunity for us to follow up as daytime staff. Is this one that we can handle by phone and is appropriate to handle by phone? So I can tell you ones that will probably never be appropriate to handle by phone are going to be maybe a parent has injuries, parent is particularly scared, there's been a very recent maybe physical incident, and there are current safety concerns. Those we're going to revert to the standing protocol of we respond. And when I say we, absolutely, if you have a volunteer on, once you collect that information on exactly what's going on, you'll call your volunteer, you'll provide that information, and they will provide those services as they always do. But again, there's information below on certain situations that I expect to come up and how it might be best to deal with that. But really, we might have to put in place some creativity and some flexibility with this. So that's really the piece that I want some good feedback on. I would love to develop, a flow sheet on when we come in immediately and when we provide that information to daytime staff and when we talk to them by phone. But as we know, with most of the cases that we see, there's no cute little buckets that everyone falls in. And so it's really gonna be handled case by case basis. And then quickly, what this means for us, one is that our pagers might be going off a lot more. And, the protocol has been in place all day today. Nothing has come through yet. And so we really don't know what volume levels we're going to be looking at. But either way, we have to now keep our pagers charged, audible, and nearby when we are on call. I know that'll be hard for me. I love going for a spin class and just kind of setting my pager there, especially if I know I have a really good volunteer on. But we might have more calls coming in, and so we know that, and we welcome any feedback on that and any concerns about that. The other thing is, when you are not on call, I strongly encourage you to turn that pager off. I'm guilty of leaving my pager at home sometimes, and every now and then I'll come home and my dog will be violently shaking because the pager went off and he's terrified of it. And so because those pages might be coming through more frequently, definitely turn it off when you are not on call. And then the other thing that I think it'll mean, which I think is kind of positive, is that we'll be interfacing more with our volunteers because this initiative is new, because the majority of the victims that our volunteers have served are adult victims in the adult emergency department or somewhere within the hospital. We know that this new world of the pediatric ED, for many of them, they may be a little bit confused. And so please provide good education and reassurance that if we're working with a teen, there's that teen-specific safety plan in the filing cabinet, there's teen-specific assessment forms. And as we encounter obstacles or questions, I hope that we can respond to them and continue to make this initiative better. But please do not hesitate to call me. I don't care if it's 4 a.m. Please call me if you have questions that come up that are need an answer right then. Otherwise, if there's calls that come in that are false positives, or that you handle by phone, or you need us to handle by phone, please make sure that you're turning in all of that. And so as always, every single page that goes off, there needs to be some documentation for that. And so we need you to be communicating all of these cases to us so that we can know what this volume looks like, and so we can make those decisions about moving forward with all of the information. So again, I'll be including a lot of information in the email that'll accompany this video, but please do not hesitate to ask me any questions that you have. Thanks so much. I'm really excited about this, and I hope you guys are too.